All right, guys, we're back for part 3 of our completely automated LinkedIn system. So if you made it this far, congratulations. You know, you've got more attention than probably 99% of the globe in our modern era. So give yourself a pat on the back. Kudos to you. I know I struggle with it just as much as everybody else. But nonetheless, in this one, we're going to be going over, okay, what happens once you connect with these people, automatically, and then once they get the messages, and then once they actually reply. How do we automatically book those interested calls and potentially respond to the non-interested ones and answer questions? And so that's what I'm going to be going over today. Again, our tool stack is going to be Phantom Buster, Apollo, N8N, and then using some AI, in this instance, ChatGPT. So let me hop over into our, the heck? Oh. Our system here. So what have we covered so far? We covered the lead batching, which was this one. We covered how we find the people, and then we automatically run the next one, which is this one right here, how it's going to scrape their profiles and how it's going to send them those messages from the context of their scraped profiles. But now what? Now we need to do something that's going to actually track these people. So we need to track the interested replies, the uninterested replies, and what have you. So this is going to be the exact workflow, and I bet I can even run it step by step, but this one's on a trigger. And so this trigger is just going to be every day at 7 a.m. it goes, and then it's going to download the results of the phantom that we're using. So it's going to be this phantom right here, this initial connection dash follow phantom. So it's going to download those results, and then we're going to get all these different container IDs. And these container IDs are going to be what's going to give us the context of where this person is at in the process, right? Have we connected with them? If we have they accepted our connection? If they have accepted our connection, have they replied to us? And if they have replied, what was their reply? And so it's going to track all those, because this is going to be a routing system. And basically what we want to figure out is, if the person was interested, we want to send them to a specific flow that is responding to just interested people. The reason why we're doing this is because when we're looking at these AI, we want to make their job extremely simple and extremely clear. So we don't want to say, hey, figure out what this person's intent is. And then once you figure out this person's intent, reply accordingly based on that intent. That's a lot for one AI node to handle. And so what we're going to do first is we're going to actually use AI to figure out which trajectory they're in, right? Are they interested? Are they not interested? Or do they have a question? And there's 3 other flows obviously connected to this, and it routes it automatically based on where they land on that intent scaling category. But starts off with this, right? We put it on the schedule, we do the HTTP, and for the HTTP, it's super simple, guys. All you do is you use this API endpoint, you put the HTTP request as GET, and then you get, agent ID, and then you put the agent ID number right here. And remember, the agent ID is this guy right here. And so you put that right there, accept application JSON, throw your API key. Like I said, I'm deleting this API key after this video series, so good luck trying to use it. And then you got to put a split out node after, and the split out node is going to be on the containers. So right here, you just drag and drop containers, and that way all your different containers are going to get split into those 81 items. And then your 81 items, we need to process them one by one and not batch them. So first person is going to be right here. And the reason why we split it into one by one is not because it can't do them all at once, but because doing them one by one prevents any kind of errors. And so it can do them all at once, but sometimes this system gets overloaded and it's like, you want frickin' 81 at the same time? Chill out, homie. So then we go to our download results HTTP request, and then you put this API endpoint. So it's the same exact one, I believe, if maybe a little bit different. Let's see. Fetch all. Okay, so it's fetch all, and then it's fetch output. And again, you can find all these endpoints on this endpoint website for Phantom Buster. And then you just map the container ID, the ID right here. You go ID, map the container ID, so every person that comes through does that. And this is going to be in the query parameters, not in the send body like a normal HTTP request. And then accept application JSON, your API key there. And then we're going to go ahead and we'll just execute this and get the results. So you see the results are this blob of bullcrap, right? How can we make sense of that? We can't really. And so we have to do this, where it's actually extracting result URL, which is what we want to be able to get what we need out of this. Because this information is all this different. You can see this debug stuff, all this different HTML, and 99% of it, look how long it is. It's insane. 99% of it is stuff that we just do not need. All we need is this right here. So I made this little code node, and I made this in ChatGPT. So if you're wondering, hey, Jake, I don't know how to code. Neither do I, dude. So no worries. Just copy and paste this. Basically, from what I gather, it's looking for a specific piece, a specific fragment of what's in here. And then it's extracting that result.json URL. And then it's basically stringing it together, and it's making sure that it matches. And then, once it matches, it outputs it right there. And so now that we have that, we can use this because we just map it from our code node, and we use that API, not that API, that URL, and we're just gonna snag it, because now it's just a URL. We don't have to use API keys. We don't have to use any of this stuff. We just snag it, and boom. Isn't that crazy? That's crazy, right? And so you can see that we have our follow-up. So we can see that, let's see, follow-up message sent. We're not finished with our follow-up sequence. Tells us everything we want to know about this person. Tells us connection agree. Tells us if the invitation was sent. The request was accepted date. And connection degree is kind of are they connected with us? If it's third connection degree, they are not connected with us. And then we're going to go to edit fields, and you're going to see first reply is what we are really looking for here. So if you go here, let's see, should be somewhere connection degree, blah, 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 message, M1, M2, M3, blah, 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 invitation sent, and company, job description, blah, 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 LinkedIn sales never, first recipient reply. Okay, so you're going to see that this is not her reply. So there's some stuff that's miscued, and you'll see it here because it's all the 61 items, but it's not actually for this person. That confused me at first too, but when you actually go here to do the mapping, it does specifically route to just Miss Nicole Christina. And so you'll see that for the first JSON.reply, it's undefined because there's nothing there. But and request accepted is empty because it has not been accepted. Connection degree is third because, right, that's what a not accepted connection would be in the third category. It can be second or it can be out of network, but only first would mean that they have actually accepted the connection. And so you go there into the edit fields, and I should say that, hey, you just drag and drop here. So JSON LinkedIn profile, full first name, last name, connection degree, request accepted, first recipient reply. You just drag and drop from these categories right here. If you want to include any other of the categories, you totally can. It's up to you. And then we go to our if node. Our if node is JSON.accepted is not empty. For Nicole, it is. But if it wasn't empty, it would go up here and it would route it. But essentially it is empty. And then we just update connection, and then we just make sure that connection is still third. LinkedIn URL, that's just what we're using to, and this is in campaign Google Sheets, but we basically just map it as, hey, this is the third degree, and we're finding the person based on their LinkedIn URL, the profile URL explicitly. So we just update that because we have another sequence that is down here, or that's not it, that's a different one. But we have another sequence that says, hey, if this person did accept it, it was accepted, blah, 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 then that will make it all good to go. And then we can go up here. We can see that some of these other people, like Julie and everyone else, they have, in fact, accepted. And so then we do remove duplicates here. So I should say that this isn't going to go through unless we got a new person. No, it didn't. But we have these people. Justin accepted. A couple other people accepted and responded. But if we had the live data, I can show you the full responses, and I might be able to. No, yeah, it's not going to let me do it. But essentially, what this one does, and I'll show you because it works pretty dang well. And maybe I can just actually do this for a second. Let's just, let's see here. Three items, three outputs. So we see here that it outputted interested because this person, whoever they were, Justin Roberts, was interested. He said, I appreciate you reaching out. I'm pretty booked during this week. I can be available Sunday morning around 8:30 a.m. if that works for you. And then we go here and we split it out, right? Because we got three items. We need to split it into three individual ones. And then we can split out based on output. So you just drag and drop output here and then update connection. And it's going to update the intent to interested. It's going to update the first apply to there. And then you're going to go to the switch here, and the switch is easy. It's just JSON.intent, which is from the sheet right here, from our Google Sheet. I believe it's from our Google Sheet, but nonetheless, if you type in JSON.intent, it'll figure it out. And it say, hey, if it's interested, we do top route. If it's not interested, we do middle route. If it's question, we do bottom route. I'm gonna map this back in here. Okay, and so that's how you get to, hey, categorizing them. But what if they haven't connected? And what if they are either haven't connected, or what if they have connected and they just have not messaged us, right? They haven't responded. So in that case, it's going to go down here and it's going to say, okay, we're going to update this to make sure that we have that it's their first degree. And then we're going to go to connections. And then we're going to use this get rows and sheets again. And we're going to say, okay, we only want first degree connections with no intent, which means they haven't made it to the top row where we get their intent, which means they haven't replied. If they have no intent, they haven't replied. We then, I can just run this. Let's see if we get anyone that goes up. Yep, okay, we're good. And then it's going to run this whole fucking thing again. That's so annoying. And no one's made it to this point, so it doesn't really matter because it's just a newer campaign. But what happens after this is that we're going to look at the date. And so if we pull up our list here and we pull up the request sent date and the accepted date, wherever that is, you look at the accepted date, and I think we just have it as a request sent date right now. But accepted date would be a little bit better. To be fully transparent, I probably need to update that. One thing that's helpful about making these videos is it makes me better. I learn, I teach, and then I kind of say, hey, I see where there's some issues in my flow. So update it to the request accepted date. We might have done that. I can't remember. I'm not going to go searching for it and waste our time here. But we basically want to, from there, go to this if node, and it says, hey, if today is after the request accepted date plus 14 days is what we did here. This is what is going on with this. It's plus 13 times 24 times 60 times 60 times 1,000. Don't ask me how that gets to where we're at, but you can see here that that gets to the 27th, which is 14 days after their date that we have on file. And so what it says then, okay, if it is 14 days after the date that we have in file, it goes to here, a ghosted Hail Mary. And what this does, it actually sends them an email. And we have, this typed out in HTML, and it's just generic stuff except for, their name, references, hey, here's my LinkedIn profile. And then it just sends it to their email. And just still interested because they connected with us, and they connected with us on the idea that we're talking about a job, we're talking about sales, we're talking about something. That's why that first message is important, that it shows some level of interest and intent. And so if they haven't messaged us back for any of our follow-up, which we do 3 or 4, then after 2 weeks, we're going to send them an email and we're going to say, hey, dude, what's good? Like we connected on LinkedIn. I know a lot of people don't use LinkedIn a lot, but just wanted to see if this is something that was still like you're still interested in. If not, like all good, I'll just like disappear. Figured I would just reach out. Then it just updates to a Hail Mary sent, which is actually going into the intent column to Hail Mary, because if you remember over here, we're filtering based on the intent. And so if it does make it to the Hail Mary, we send our Hail Mary, then none of the guys are actually going to get through to this point. And so basically that's the flow for connection tracking and for routing to where the person lands on the interest spectrum. And then from there, we say, let's go to interested reply. And so we go to interested reply. And I actually redid this. And so you see, this is the whole amalgamation crazy thing that I did before. But now this is all it is. All it is, hey, it gets executed if it makes it into that path. Goes to responded. Their intent is, in fact, interested. And that's pulling all the people that are interested. And then it loops over items. And then it takes their message, because if you remember, we are putting their first reply into the Google Sheet. And so we put their first reply into the Google Sheet, and then we just give the AI its name too. And then we just trained it here to say, hey, you are helpful writing and scheduling assistant and responding as whoever you're responding as. Task review the message, receive a message, and respond accordingly. And then we give it all this stuff and basically tell it to schedule, right? We say, organically move the conversation to request the book call, blah, blah, blah. Here's the link to schedule. Tone is friendly. Don't fabricate any information. Flow organically and in the context of their message. So then it flows through this. And now here's where we get to another phantom. We go to this phantom and it's going to be the launch an agent. So it's going to be post, launch an agent endpoint. You put in your API key under the headers here. And then again, I'll just copy and paste this so you can get a good view of it. This is from our last video, if you remember. And then it's, you put the ID here, argument right here, and then you just do loop over items, LinkedIn URL to, that's the person you're looking for. You put your cookie here, your user agent here, and then the message you're actually sending. So there's going to be the chat GPT output right there. And so if we go here, it's going to be the, in fact, I think I could probably message responder. So, you just go to your message responder, you set it up how you set up in here. You just switch to form, put a random LinkedIn, you connect it on your thing. Doesn't matter what you put in here. You just put something in here. Behavior, blah, blah, launch settings, advanced settings, file management, delete previous. And so we're going to go to profile and then we'll just switch back and we see here, okay, this is what we got under this argument area right here. That's where we copied and pasted that. And so you put ID, argument, spreadsheet, blah, blah, blah. And so then I just message them. And then we update it over here saying, okay, great. ID is the ID for the thing. Intent is booking underscore intent, because now they're not going to filter back into here because they've been updated from interested to booking sent. And then you just update the booking sent so that you can track if people are actually booking. So I'll just save and publish this, whatever. And then let's go to the next one. Next one's not interested. Same exact thing, guys. Literally everything's the same. The only thing that's different is here, left open, or whatever you want to title it as. And you just change this to, whatever you want to say. You can even just completely ignore this one and just not respond to your not interested audiences. But if you want to respond and leave the door open and be like, hey, it's all good. We can connect at some point in the future. It's no problem to me. Things change, blah, blah, say something, whatever you want to say. It doesn't matter. You just type some generic stuff into the AI. Like for me, it's review the message, receive a message accordingly. This is not an interested person. I just tell them that they're not interested, so the AI understands that, and then politely tell them something like, "No worries, we're really working on expanding a team, so always open to top if things change. Do you want to leave the door open?" Um, and then last but not least is this one, and this is so there's two ways to handle this one. This is questions. So there's three ways to handle this. One is what I'm doing, and that's just you take the message content and all that stuff, and then you just literally send yourself an email to say, "Hey, respond." So you just say you're sending it to yourself. You say, "Hey, this is a question from this person. Here's this person. Here's their message, and then here's their LinkedIn. Go respond." That's the easiest way to do it. That's the easiest way to do it. If you want, you can also slowly train an AI on your offer or service or whatever you're doing, so that it can do its best at responding and send them some sort of respond. And usually for that, you kind of, if you see, I've done this with this one, you just push them to a meeting and you just say, "Hey, blah, blah, blah." You answer their question if you can. If you can't, either way, you push them to just schedule a meeting. And that's how they'll get all their questions answered. And then you can do a third thing, which would be training an agent on, yourself, your business, and all those things, so it can actually have a conversation with these people. And all you'd have to do is essentially code into the into your end here a certain verbiage under one of the lines that, hey, when a person is in a conversation with this AI, that it doesn't update their intent until they are done with the conversation, which a lot more work, a lot more effort. I'm not doing it here for that reason. It takes me very low effort to see a question and just respond to a question on LinkedIn. You can open up your phone app and it's fine. But nonetheless, guys, that's everything except for this last one. I'm sorry, I almost forgot this last one. This is never accepted. So let's say in this world, they've always maintained the third degree connection. They've never accepted us. They hate us for even trying to reach out to them. Then you go in the IFG Outbound in campaign, connection degree out of network, connection degree second, connection degree third, blah, blah, blah. So only people that haven't accepted. And to show you this run through, then of course this is, hey, after 14 days, has it been 14 days? We got one person. Then you send them this email and you say something like, "Hey, tried to connect you with on LinkedIn." You tell them a little about your offer or however you want to position it. And then you can see here that, hey, this is just their email that we got from Apollo on the lead batching earlier. So they're getting hit on the multimodal approach, right? We connect with them on LinkedIn. If they don't connect with us, we email them. If they connect with us and they don't respond, we email them. And so they're getting multiple touch points. You can even evolve this so you can get their numbers and call them too if you really want to be a bother. But nonetheless, that's it, guys. And then you just update them to ghosted, right, once they're done. Oh, yeah, I need to update that, but that's fine. It doesn't matter. That's it. So that's the entire system in a nutshell. It's decently sophisticated, right? And I've done a lot of trial and error here to help this system be as streamlined as possible. You should have seen the system when I first built it, guys. It was kind of comical. I was using like 8 or 9 phantoms. And it was only after I figured out some things that you slowly learn and you figure out how to best use these tools. And now I only have to use I think it's 3, 4 phantoms, if that. And so it's pretty streamlined. You don't use a lot of credits. Realistically, you can even use the lowest Phantom Buster budget, which is like $20 a month or something for this. I'm currently on the $200 a month one, or $100 a month one, actually. I'm sorry. And so that's it. Hope you guys found this helpful. If you did, I'm going to continue to make more better content, gonna make things that I hope you guys find useful. If there's things you guys want to see me make or things you have questions about, please let me know. I'm more than happy to try my best. I personally love learning. I love doing this stuff. I love experimenting with it. It's not the only thing I do, but it's just one of my passions. And so, because right, make your life easier, automate your life, and it's like the book Atomic Habits. Small changes over a long period of time make big changes. Anyways, that's it today, guys. And so again, I'm Jake. And if you found this helpful, please like and subscribe. If you didn't, send me some hate in the comments. So either way, I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.